I'm going to have a lot of tactics. I for one, am
like what?
I stood on the floor for 25 hours. I did a sit-in on the steps of the Capitol.
To what end, though? It didn't change President Trump's behavior.
Oh, I disagree with you in the sense that you have got to find ways with a guy that dominates your attention and the attention economy, you have got to find a way to break through.
As you may already know, that's New Jersey Democratic Senator Cory Booker. I sat down in his office this week to talk about how Democrats are trying to break through and how they're using the government shutdown as a tactic to do it. From the newsroom of the Washington Post, this is Post Reports. I'm Colby Itkowitz. It's Thursday, October 2nd. It is day 2 of the federal government shutdown, and both sides are dug in. Democrats are holding out for billions in healthcare subsidies, and the Trump White House is threatening mass layoffs of federal workers. For as long as this lasts, federal workers are out of work or some of them are working without pay. Democrats are making a gamble that this fight will be worth that pain. In this moment, I wanted to speak with Senator Booker because he was one of the Democrats that voted against the Republican plan to fund the government back in March. He's been one of the most visible critics of the Trump administration in the Senate. As he mentioned, earlier this year, he held up the Senate floor for a record-breaking speech against Trump policies. Today, Senator Booker's take on how long the shutdown could last. We ask him about the Democrats' end goal in this risky stand against President Trump's agenda.
Well, Senator, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
I'm actually really, it's good to be on podcasts that I really like. So thank you. Thank you for coming to my office.
Incredibly flattering. We are talking Wednesday afternoon. It's been a little over 12 hours since the government shut down. How long do you think you're willing to allow the government to stay shut down?
Well, I don't obviously look at it that way.
Okay.
We've had a president that's been in office as of today, 254 days. He said he would lower costs on day one, and he's done the opposite. You've seen costs go up on groceries, on fuel, on prescription drugs across the board, interest rates going up, the labor market tightening. The economy's gotten much worse as people are experiencing it. And then you add to that, we're in a healthcare chaos or catastrophe because of his own making. So we have been, as Democrats, asking to come to the table to deal with the pain that his budgets and his other practices have caused. The House and the Senate Republicans, which they control, seem to just do his bidding. He has a tremendous amount of power. There's only one way to go forward, and that's in a bipartisan way. This is on him to come to the table with us and negotiate.
So when you're talking to your Democratic colleagues right now, I'm sure you're having a lot of conversations about what it's going to take to reopen the government. What assurances do you want from Republicans here in Congress, from the White House? Does it have to be that these subsidies get extended?
So I would definitely not prescribe anything publicly like that. I'm a person who's negotiated a lot of bills with Republicans who just, let's get to the table. You're not going to get everything you want. I'm not going to get everything I want. And let's find some common ground. Our line that we've been saying out there is we want to do something that's going to help Americans who are struggling with the loss of their health care. As the Kaiser Family Foundation has said, that if we don't do something, the average premium increase will more than double. Let's do something about this crisis that we're in that's of frankly, Donald Trump's creation. Help us to solve this crisis that's going to help people. That's all we're saying. Do something. Because if every month that we continue puts more and more Americans in peril, and now it's real. These subsidies will run out at the end of the year. But
right, and these are for the Affordable Care Act marketplace, people that buy their health insurance through commonly known as Obamacare.
Right, but you understand that number more than doubled since the pandemic. It's about half of American small businesses get their health insurance. And the one time Democrats have any kind of leverage where they need us is now. And to just capitulate to a president who promised to lower costs, promised that he had some, some semblance of a healthcare plan.
Yeah.
Everything he told us he would do, he has not followed through on. And so if they're going to get my vote, I can't speak for the rest of my colleagues, but I'm not going to give them my vote unless they're willing to do something to help the people of New Jersey.
In some way, does shutting down the government, though, play into his hands a little bit? I mean, because he also has said, all right, shut down the government and I'll just lay off more federal workers. And by the time this show airs, he may have done that. So are you kind of giving him the power to then maybe to some people make things worse?
Well, I mean, you and I have witnessed Donald Trump's leadership, and I just never imagined I'd be in a moment in America where a president has said, if you don't give me my way, I'm going to hurt hundreds of thousands of more people. I mean, that's literally what he is saying, is that if you don't come my way, I'm going to hurt people in the blue states. He said that.
Right.
If you don't come my way, I'm going to lay off more government workers. And you talk to senior citizens who have longer wait times at Social Security already, veterans who've seen what thousands of layoffs have done to their service. So that is just another underlying of the main features of this presidency, which has been corruption, a man who's doubled his net worth since he's been in office, is chaos, which he's thrust us in right now by not coming to the table to do a bipartisan way forward. And then the worst of the C's, chaos, corruption, and cruelty. And for me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you continue to operate this way. We are a democracy, not an autocracy. And I, for one senator, is going to stand up and fight you.
After the break, I talk with Senator Booker about Democratic voters' frustrations with their own party. We'll be right back.
How much of this moment is also to show, like you said, that Democrats are willing to stand up to President Trump? Because there's obviously been a lot of frustration among Democratic voters and others that the Democrats haven't done enough to kind of try to blunt this president.
Yeah, so I'm one of these people that has been frustrated, not just with Democrats, like with everybody. I mean, why are we allowing him to do what he's doing to private law firms who are forced to come to heel if they want to keep their practice areas intact? Why are we letting him do this to major corporations like we just saw with Disney, threatening them in ways that we haven't seen in our lifetime?
Meaning the Jimmy Kimmel.
The Jimmy Kimmel, threatening to use the Federal Communications Commission to attack people on free speech rights. Why are we allowing him to do what he's doing?
But what can you do?
So that's the point. There are so many things that he's doing that are offensive that, yes, I want more Americans, and I've seen them, Republicans, private sector people, Democrats. But to me, I'm wondering how much more can this president do before more of us, whether it's the attacks on the media, whether it's more of us, whether it's attacks on religious institutions, why not more of us are not standing up and saying, this is wrong, this man is wrong? Because, as Frederick Douglass said, the limits of tyranny are prescribed by the endurance of those people that are oppressed. How much more will we endure before more people speak up? Because that's exactly the point, that Donald Trump will stop doing the things that he's doing.
Senator, why do you think it's taken almost, more than 8 months into Trump's presidency for the Democrats to take a united stand like this?
Again, I said this in my 25-hour stand on the Senate floor, that Democrats have helped to pave the road to where we are right now. I have a lot of frustrations with my own party.
Yeah.
And really believe that this is a Shiva moment in the Hindu faith, the god of destruction, but it's also the god of renewal and rebirth. The Democratic Party better come back, put itself back together about being the party of the kind of things that the American people really wants to see. I'm in an institution that has corruption that's just been accepted.
How so?
People on both sides of the political aisle trade stocks. That's ridiculous. That I could have made a lot of money in my 13 years here. I don't understand how we allow that. I don't understand how we allow corporations and Citizens United to come here and dump money on politicians. I would think I was the fourth, and there may only be 6 or 7 senators say I'm not taking corporate PAC money because this system is corrupt. And I don't want my constituents to know that I don't have, like NASCAR racers, stamps of corporations because I take money from their corporate PACs. There are so many things baked into this system that our party needs to start standing up and saying we're on the side of the American people and not on the side of the corrupting forces in our politics. I want us to redeem the American dream, because 60% of this country, it's not working for them anymore. When my dad was coming up, 90% of Americans did better than their parents did. If you're born in the 80s, which I imagine you are, forgive me if I'm making a really wildly bad assumption.
That was absolutely accurate.
Accurate, okay. If you're born in the 80s, 50% of your generation did better than your parents. For Gen Z, it is worse. The American dream, the idea of our country, is slipping away from the majority of the people. And our party has lacked the compelling vision for how we are going to deal with that. And that frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I may be the only senator that lives in a neighborhood that the census tract that at least is technically below the poverty line. I wake up in my neighborhood in Newark. We've made tremendous changes, which I'm proud of. But I see people struggling and working hard, but not being able to get out of the trap. The trap that even though they're working harder and harder, everything is going up, from housing to groceries to the cost of raising children. And this has got to stop in our country. And I believe in this political chaos that we're in right now, because I'm a prisoner of hope. I believe that there's not going to be one party that's going to emerge. I believe we're making the makings amidst all this destruction is a moment that I hope to help be a part of, that is actually an American renewal, where we don't hate each other anymore, when we don't see each other as enemies, but we actually belong to each other, that we need each other.
Let me ask you, though, because I think Democrats also want to see leaders fighting, right? They see someone like California Governor Gavin Newsom, who just this week responded to a tweet that quoted JD Vance and called JD Vance a dipshit. I wonder what you make of that strategy.
Look, Gavin and I have been friends since he courageously did civil disobedience, defied the law, and issued marriage licenses. We both were mayors coming up together, and I have a lot of respect. And thank God, when I played basketball, everybody on the team didn't play the same way. We had point guards and guys under the hoops, and so I'm going to have a lot of tactics. I for one, am
like what?
I stood on the floor for 25 hours. I did a sit-in on the steps of the Capitol.
To what end, though? It didn't change President Trump's behavior.
Oh, I disagree with you in the sense that you have got to find ways with a guy that dominates your attention and the attention economy. You have got to find a way to break through. And what Gavin's doing and a lot of people are doing are trying to find a way to break through. I happen to believe that what Americans are yearning to hear from us is that we're problem solvers, that we can get things done, that we don't hate each other, that ultimately we can find a way, not left or right, but a way to bring this country forward.
Let me also ask you, you're fighting this fight on one front, on the shutdown front. But we also saw the president this week tell a bunch of military generals that we're fighting a war from within. And he's talking about a fight in American cities, bringing troops to American cities.
But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within.
How do Democrats respond to these?
Why do you frame it as a Democrat response? This is so violative of American shared values. When we continue to frame things as right or left, I'm sorry, all Americans, I can imagine if Obama sent troops into Alabama because he was going after the enemy within, that rightfully would have inflamed them. We have to, what he is doing is such an attack on our shared values. It is such an attack on the dignity and the decency of the military, not to mention the people that he's vilifying and trying to turn our own troops on. This is a test. It is a moral moment in our country. And I have a deep faith in the decency of Americans writ large. This is not a Democrat problem or Republican problem. I think this is a moral moment that's testing America's mettle. And we have them in every generation. Every generation, demagogues rise up. People who exploit hate rise up. Every generation has them. This is our moment. And I know past generations have overcome those times. And I believe that we will too, but not by leadership that doubles down on hate and division. the kind of leadership that we need, that inspires me in this country, like John Lewis and others, is the kind of folks that remind us of the best of who we are and how we can be even better if we find ways to build upon common ground.
Senator, I have so many more questions for you, but it looks like the Senate is voting.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
So I don't want
yes.
you to
miss a vote.
Then you should go.
I'm so
No,
can
it's
we
okay.
do it again? Let's do it again.
I would love to do it again. Senator, thank you so much for coming on the
thank you.
podcast.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate
All right,
it.
I'm going to run.
Go vote.
Yes.
Cory Booker is the senior Democratic senator from New Jersey. We spoke in his office on Wednesday. As we were wrapping up our interview, I saw on the TV screen behind him that votes were starting on the Senate floor. And so he had to rush out. We've also reached out to several Senate Republicans, offering them to come on the show and give us their perspective on the government shutdown. You can also catch up on all the shutdown news at WashingtonPost.com. That's it for Post Reports. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to watch this episode on YouTube, we also filmed this interview, so you can find it on the Washington Post YouTube channel. We'll put a link to it in our show notes. Today's show was produced by Laura Benshoff and Josh Carroll, with help from Zoe Cummings. It was mixed by Sam Bair and edited by Reena Flores. I'm Colby Itkowitz. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories from the Washington Post.